Hey guys, Jim over at JP Property Consulting. So I want to take this video and just kind of give you guys a little bit of introduction to my training classes, my consulting business, and let you know a little bit about me and where I come from and why my videos and training courses are going to be quite a bit different than what you're used to getting here online and some of these other training videos that you're seeing. Typically, is the way I describe our industry as far as landlording and property management, I use the analogy a lot, and I use a lot of analogies when I teach. But here's an analogy that I use a lot when trying to kind of explain to them others the difference in where I come from. If you think of landlording and property management, sort of like purchasing an automobile, there are three primary sources that you're going to be able to use to go purchase an automobile. You think there's that guy that puts his car in the driveway. He puts that for sale sign on it and puts the ad on Craigslist and then sells his car through that way. He'll maybe go take the proceeds of that, go buy another car and then fix it up and then put the ad on Craigslist again and put the ad in the newspaper and sell the car with that for sale sign on his driveway. And he does this over and over and over again for many years, right? Then let's compare that guy that does that to some of you who maybe would be at that level of maybe you own an 8-unit apartment building, or you rent out a couple houses or so on, right? And you have a few units that you rent out like that. Now there's that guy that, you know, we're all familiar with these things, with that Bob's Auto Sales, I call them, right? The Schofield Motors, or, you know, Joe's Auto Sales kind of thing, right? It's that small parking lot with, you know, 20, 30 vehicles on there, and he owns his own auto sales place, right? And he's owned his own auto. He came from maybe kind of selling a few cars on his own, and now he's got his own little parking lot of Bob's Auto Sales things, right? That would be maybe more kind of in tune with or in line with some of these small mom and pop management companies, right? These little local property management companies, if you will, right? If you think of using that analogy, and where I come from is, it's not that side of the business where we kind of put the car in the driveway and put the for sale sign on it. I've never owned Jim's Auto Sales, if you will, right? Okay, so instead I come from, if you will, let's kind of stick with that analogy, that side of the industry, which would be kind of like the Toyota and the Chrysler and the Honda side of the industry, right? The big companies, the national organizations that have the 500-unit apartment communities, the 700-unit places, where they've got the swimming pools and the tennis courts, and they got the staff that work on site, and we've got regional offices and so on. What my training videos do is it brings that Toyota and Chrysler stuff that we train our associates on over at that side of the business, if you will, over to the Bob's Auto Sales guys, and trains that guy that puts his car in the driveway, puts that for sale on it, and teaches Bob and that guy, if you will, how we do things and how we train our associates over at that Chrysler and Toyota side of things, if you will, right? The big management, national organizations, the large apartment communities, and so on. And that's kind of what my background is. So a lot of the training videos that you get online, that you're going to go see here on other channels and so on, is a lot of Bob at Bob's Auto Sales teaching Joe at Joe's Auto Sales how Bob does things at Bob's Auto Sales. That's not what I am, and that's not what you're going to get from me. You're going to get that understanding of how we teach our associates at Chrysler and Toyota, right? And bringing that to the Bob's Auto Sales guy, if you will, right? Think of it in essence. What I will tell you is this: there are a lot of things that we teach our associates over at that side of the industry. And what I mean by that, so I mean these big apartment communities, okay, where they've got the swimming pools and the tennis courts, and they got the leasing office on site and so on, like this, okay? Those things is where I come from. Decades of working at those places and managing a leasing staff at them. What I will tell you is that there are a lot of things that we teach our staff to do and not do over there at that side of the industry that I see the Bob's Auto Sales guy, the little landlords and stuff, the small management companies, or the private guy that owns an 8-unit apartment building doing a lot of times, that we're taught over there on that side of the business, don't ever do these things, or you should always be doing these things, and we never see those little guys do stuff. my training classes brings all of that over to you guys, the small mom and pop landlords, and shows you guys how we do things over there at those big companies and why we do what we do over there. In addition, so with my classes, I have a textbook that comes with my courses that you could print out the PDF of the textbook. This is a physical textbook with a binder that comes with it. If you do my in-person training, which are primarily I geared and focused towards only management companies and landlords in and around the Wisconsin area, which is where I'm from and where I operate out of. But if you're a national landlord elsewhere, a small management company or a small private landlord elsewhere, you purchase my online classes, you'll get the textbook with a lot of all these forms that come in there and that come with it that are things such as maintenance preventative checklists and so on, or cleaning checklists that we do when we get an apartment, we turn an apartment over. We have a fall preventative checklist, a spring preventative checklist, and so on that you do on your property for every season. That's just an example. We have like a market study that I have. I give you a template to use for a market study when you're comparing your property to other comparable properties in your area, and using that as a guide as to how to set your rents. That's in my marketing and leasing class, for example. So there's a whole bunch of stuff like that that I bring to the small landlord and kind of teach you guys all those little neat tips and tricks that we train our leasing staff to do and not do. Some things over at that side of the business. So if that sounds interesting to you and think that this is something that you might be interested in, go check out my website. It's at jppropertyconsulting.com. Also, you can go take a look at my LinkedIn page, which is Jim Puccio, Puccio, comma, ARM, ARM, which is Accredited Residential Manager, comma, CAM, which is Certified Apartment Manager, through the Institute of Real Estate Management and through the National Apartment Association, respectively. Go check out my LinkedIn page. Go check out my website, and take a look at some of my other YouTube videos. I do little preludes to my classes on some of my other YouTube videos as well. Take a look at them. You can get a little bit of a sense, a little bit of a taste of what I teach in my classes. And hope that was helpful to you. Hopefully that gave you a little bit of an understanding of what I do and what I'm all about, and kind of give you a little bit of a difference of what you're going to get from my training classes versus some of these other small landlords that are just giving you their thoughts on things as well, but have never really come from that Toyota Chrysler side of things, if you will. Right? Go check out my website, jppropertyconsulting.com, and thanks for watching, guys.